Hey everyone, in this tutorial we are going to be learning how to make Bluey. Isn't she adorable? Let's get started. So these are the materials that we're going to need. We're going to need some blanket yarn in 3 different types of blue, so medium, dark, and light. We're also going to need like a sandy brown color. We're going to need some worsted yarn in black and white, and some stuffing. We're going to need our 8mm and 4mm crochet hook, some stitch markers, darning needles. I use 2 different sizes while I'm working, scissors, 14mm safety eyes, and actually that's about it. All right, let's get started. We start with our dark blue yarn, and we're going to tie a little slip knot here. And round 1 is chain 12. Okay, starting in the second chain from the hook, so 1, 2, we are going to start round 2. And in our first stitch is where we're going to add our stitch marker here so we don't get lost. Here we go. So we'll start with an increase, single crochet 9, okay, so that leaves us with 1 stitch at the end of the chain there, and that is where we're going to work 3 single crochet into this chain right here. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to continue on to the other side of our chain, and we are going to single crochet 9. What I like to do, as opposed to just working into the other side of the chain, I kind of like to crochet over the chain into kind of like where you'd insert your hook from the other side as well, into that same spot. And what that does is it kind of crisscrosses your yarn and you don't end up with holes going all the way down the chain. So that's 1. Again, we're just going to kind of cross over the whole chain here. 2, 3, 6. Okay, so that's 9, and then into the very last chain, 1 last stitch. Okay, so that's what it looks like there. Round 3. We're going to start with another increase. Single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and this is where we're going to start our color changes. So we're going to be kind of going between the dark blue and the medium blue here. And actually what I need to do is back out of this last stitch here. There we go. So now I've completed the increase, single crochet 2, and on that 3rd single crochet is where I'm going to change my color. So I'll complete the stitch with my new color, And then I like to just knot this on the inside to secure my new color. Okay, so now we've finished our single crochet 5 in the medium blue. And we're gonna go back to the dark blue here. Again, just leave your medium blue tail attached because we are gonna be going back and forth with it. So we're gonna single crochet 3. We're going to increase. And then single crochet 11. Okay, now we are going to work on round number 4. So single crochet 5. Okay, and on the 5th stitch is where we're going to go ahead and do our color change again. And then, so you see here where my tension has started to kind of overlap a little bit and it is pulling it snug. So since you are doing crisscross color changes on the back, just make sure that your yarn tail at the back is loose enough that it's not cinching your work as you go. So that feels good. So we're going to do another single crochet 5 in this medium color. Okay, and bring back the dark blue. My tension was still feeling a little bit snug, so we'll pull that tail. There we go. That feels better. And now we're just going to single crochet 16. Now moving on to round 5, single crochet 6. Color change back to the medium. Single crochet 3, so we're going to start tapering in this center color now. Back to the dark blue. And single crochet 17. Okay, round 6 has worked the exact same way that we just did. There you go. So you can see how it's shaping up nicely here. We've got our center color, our medium blue, starting to taper in nicely, and that's kind of where our eyes are going to be. It's looking good. Okay, so now before I start round 7, I'm just gonna untangle my yarn here. Starting to twist a little bit. There we go. Round 7, we're working basically the same thing again. We're gonna do single crochet 5 instead. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now our color change is going to start spreading out a little bit more. Okay, single crochet 5 in the medium blue. Back to the dark. And then single crochet 16. And round 8 has worked exactly the same as round 7, so single crochet 5 with the dark. Then color change to the medium. Single crochet 5. Back to the dark. And single crochet 16. Okay, and then round 9 is going to be our last round with the dark blue. So we'll single crochet 4. Color change to the medium. Single crochet 7. When there's a really long stretch between the color changes like this, what I like to do is also just crochet around the tail on the inside as well. It doesn't pop out of the front of the stitch or anything, so you don't see it, but it just, to me, feels like it's more secure to just stitch over it like that. Just on the one spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And let's take a look here. I'm going to fasten off my light blue right now because I am going to be attaching it in a different spot over here at the end of this round, or I guess the beginning of next round. So I will cut this here and secure it, and we'll just reattach it after this is done. Okay, and then we're going to finish this round off with single crochet 15. Okay, and on that last stitch right here, we're going to color change back to our medium blue. So we'll bring this back here. And we can snip off our dark blue. We won't need it again until much later. And we'll just tie off our ends here. Okay. So this is where we're at. We'll hide all the ends in there. So this is what it looks like, shaping up nicely. And now we're gonna kind of work into the belly part. So rounds 10 to 14 are just going to be straight rounds of single crochet with the medium blue. Okay, so just finished round 14, which means just did the 5 rounds of single crochet around. If you ever get lost while you're counting or you can't remember if you've done a round or not, you can just take a look at the back here. Remember we did 5 rounds of just the medium blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know we're at the right place. Now round 15, we're gonna do some color changes again. This is where we introduce the light blue. So we're gonna start with the single crochet 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we will bring in our new yarn, the light blue, to complete that stitch. And I'm just gonna tie them off. Don't fasten off your medium blue. We're gonna be going back and forth just like we did in the beginning with the dark. Okay, and we're going to single crochet 4. Okay, oh, whoops, I forgot. We're gonna change back over. There we go, 4, and complete the stitch with the medium. Okay, and then single crochet 16. Okay, round 16 is going to have single crochet 5. Okay, that's the 5th. Change over, adjust the tension a little bit there. Single crochet 6. And then back to medium, single crochet 15. Okay. So we just finished round 16. So this is what we're looking like right here. So we've got the belly patch coming along the bottom and it's centered right to the face, center of the face. Okay, and now for round 17, we're going to single crochet 4. Color change the light blue, single crochet 8. This is actually gonna be quite a long color change strip to carry this light or the medium blue in behind. So you can just do the same thing that you've always done and just single crochet all the way across and change back to blue. When I'm carrying for that long, because I like to make sure that my tension is not getting really loose and stuff, I like to just kind of stitch over it maybe once or twice in the center. So let's see, you've got 1, 2, 3, so 4 stitches so far. I'm going to stitch over it once. Get you in there. See? You don't see it at all. That one you kind of did see. There we go. You don't see it at all in the front, but it just kind of secures it in the back. Okay, so that was 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, back to the color change. Okay, and round 18 is worked the exact same way as 17. Okay, and again, this one was quite a big spread between the two, and I don't want it to get loosey-goosey in behind. So I'm also going to stitch over this one a couple times. 1, 2, I'll probably do one more. I'm just stitching over the whole thing. 3, that's good, nice and secure in the back. 4, 5, I'm gonna just kind of stitch over that one. Keep it in there and in behind, see? 6, 7, and 8, and then color change. I'll show you guys the back again one more time here. So I stitched over the light blue a couple times, and I stitched over the medium just once. Again, just to secure it a little extra. Okay, we're gonna fasten off this light blue. We don't need it anymore. We'll tie it off. Okay, hide the tail. And oh, I'm sorry. We do not want to fasten off our light blue. So we are going to, let me have a quick look-see here. We actually do need the light blue one more time, so I made a mistake. If you just fastened off, I'm sorry. But we'll just add it back in again. I didn't realize that we had one more round to go. Luckily, little mistakes like that are super easy to fix. Okay. So now we're on round 19. This is where my eyes were looking when I was saying to fasten off the light blue. And my mind just raced and I thought, oh my goodness, maybe I'll just edit it out and nobody will ever know, but that's okay. I'll show you guys my mistakes. Okay, so round 19, I just worked a decrease. I'm gonna show you another decrease here. So insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through one, insert, pull up a loop. And normally you would pull through all 3 loops right here, but I actually need to do a color change again. We need our light blue. So I'm just gonna bring this right in here. There we go. And we'll attach the yarn back again. Okay. And we're gonna single crochet 8. 2, 3, 4. On the 5th one, I'm gonna just carry my medium through here again, keeping it in the back. That was 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, we'll bring our medium back here. And this is where we're actually supposed to get rid of our light blue. The good thing about crochet though, like look at this, nobody would ever know. Now we're gonna do some more decreases. I'll show you again. So insert, pull up a loop and yarn over into 1, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, and now single crochet 10. Okay. Awesome. So he looks like a little pillow, or I guess she looks like a little pillow. Looking good. For the very last round, so all we're gonna do is single crochet 1. And since this is a decreased stitch, you can see this is the top of the stitch up here. And we actually created a second like fake stitch down here with the whole yarn over and pull through just the 1 loop. We're gonna go under, not the big gappy loop up here, but the second one down here. It goes in nicely. And what that does, it completely hides the decrease. You can't see it at all. So it makes it kind of invisible. And now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet across the bottom and seal it up. I'm gonna do a couple of stitches and then stuff the body. So again, I'm gonna insert into that second loop in the decrease, and then we're coming back into that stitch. It's a little awkward that we just made here. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and we're just going through both sides like this to close up that gap. 3. I think I'm gonna start stuffing it now. For stuffing this project, I'd almost say less is more because you still want it to keep that nice square pillow shape. And you don't want the belly to be bulging out. Here. So what I'm doing is just kind of placing around the corners. I can tell this one little ear at the top didn't really get any. Here we go. Place around the edges and then into the belly. I'm going to stitch a little bit more and then see how it feels. You can see there really isn't a lot of stuffing in there. I'm gonna add a little bit more to this corner. Okay, that feels good to me. Just like a soft little pillow. You can see from like the side profile that it's not bulging out anywhere. Okay. And then the very last one is going to be worked into decreases. Oops, I missed one. This one is a decrease as well. So just making sure that we're getting underneath that floating little stitch that you created. There we go. So when you're done at the bottom, you should have 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's it. So we'll fasten off. Pull that yarn through. And we have just created our bluey body. Okay, next up we're going to make the ears. So for the ears, we're going to start with the dark blue. And this time we're going to be working in a magic ring. So we'll go ahead, start our ring. And we're going to single crochet 6. And pull it tight. I was really worried that was going to snap there for a second. All right, so now we're going to do round 2. So where is my stitch there? Okay, we'll grab our stitch marker. Here's 1. We're going to single crochet 2. And then increase. And in that second stitch of the increase, we're going to change over to our sandy brown color. Okay, and I like to just tie my knot here to secure. Okay, and we will single crochet 2. And on that the second one there, we'll change back to our dark blue for an increase. And then before we go any further, I'm just going to pull that out a little bit more, is I'm going to secure my magic ring tail so that it never comes undone. And I'm basically just going to thread it through the magic ring stitches again. Just following the circle. There we go. So it's not going to come undone. And I am going to trim this brown tail and the magic ring tail because there won't be any room for it. The ears are quite small. Okay. So here we go. Round 3, so we'll start with single crochet 3. And an increase. And on the second stitch of the increase, we'll change over to brown again. Single crochet 3. Back to dark blue. And increase. Then round 4, single crochet 5, change to the light brown, single crochet 3, back to the dark blue, and we're only going to single crochet 1. That leaves one of the stitches unworked, and that's fine. That's basically just helping us line up to make sure that this is centered in the ear. So let's get rid of this marker here. We're going to fasten off the light brown and tie it off. Okay, actually I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Okay, and we are going to fold it in half, and in the next stitch insert, and then also insert into our current stitch, which is always a little awkward to do. There we go. Okay, and single crochet them together. We're gonna do that 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Some little fuzzies here. Okay, so that's what it looks like. We'll fasten that off. Give it a decent tail because we are going to be sewing these onto the head. Here we go. And there's our ear. So we're going to go ahead and make 2 of those. Okay, so now we have 2 identical ears with the long tails for sewing. We will just go ahead and set those aside until we're ready to sew them onto the head. Okay, now we're going to work on the legs. So we are going to start with a magic circle again in light blue. We're going to work on the feet first and then work our way up to the legs. Okay, there's 8 single crochet into the magic ring. And round 2. We'll start with a single crochet 2. 4 increases in a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then single crochet 2. round 3, single crochet 3, there's 1, 2, 3, and actually before I go any further, I'm going to secure my magic ring here, just like we did for the ears. There we go. So that way I can flip my work right side out. Okay, we're going to do some decreases now. 3 decreases, so 1. Just going to kind of show you again, like recalling from the body. So a decrease was insert into 1, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. Insert into the next, pull up a loop, yarn over through all 3 loops. Okay. And then in the next round, I'll show you why that's so important again. The way that we do the decreases like that. Okay, so now we've got 3 decreases and single crochet 3. Okay, round 4, we're going to start with single crochet 3 again. Okay, we're coming up on making decreases and also the decreases we had before. So again, we're going to work a decrease, but we're going to work it into the decreases from the previous round. So you can see here, we've got a bit of a gap in the top section here. If I went into that, I'm just going to do a single crochet to show you. It's pretty gappy. See, you could lose stuffing through there. You could see your finger poking through. So that's why we kind of work that fake stitch under here. So if I were to work a single crochet, for example, into that spot, see, there's no gaps, nothing poking through, you're not going to lose stuffing. So we're just going to work under those fake loops down here, and we're going to do it as a decrease. Okay, so that's 1 decrease. We're going to work another one. And single crochet 2. Okay. Round 5, so single crochet 2. We're going to work 1 decrease. Single crochet 3. Things are getting pretty snug here. 1, 2, 3. Now personally, I find that I don't really need stuffing in the toes. With all those like types of stitches, with all the decrease and stuff in there, the yarn, like the fabric itself, is quite thick. And I kind of like having little squishy toes. But if you wanted to, you could throw some stuffing in there now. And so round 6 is just going to be single crochet 6. And on that last stitch, we are going to do a color change. And we're going to go to the medium blue. We can fasten off our light blue. We don't need it anymore until we work the next leg. Okay, and both yarn tails, I'm just going to kind of shove into the feet. There we go. Oh, I only got one. Okay, there we go. So now we're just gonna do a couple rounds, 3 rounds of just single crochet 6. Okay, now we're at round 10. So we're going to work 2 single crochet only, just to get back to the edge of the leg. And we're going to fold it in half, and we're going to stitch across like we have been for all the other parts. So insert into the next stitch and awkwardly back into the stitch you're in. There we go. That's 1, 2, and 3. There we go. You can see his little toes are right down there at the bottom. Okay, so we are going to fasten off with a tail for sewing. There we go. We've got 1 leg, and we're going to go ahead and make another one too. Okay, so there we go. So now we have 2 identical legs, and we're going to set these also aside until we're ready to sew them onto the body. Now we're going to make the brown part of the snout. So we need our light brown again. Start with a magic ring, and we're going to single crochet 8. Okay, in round 2, we're going to single crochet 1, and then we're going to do an increase 3 stitch, which basically just means 3 single crochet into the same stitch. So it's 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do it all the way around. So single crochet 1, increase 3. Single crochet 1, oops, my yarn's running away from me, there we go, and increase 3, and last one, single crochet 1, increase 3. Okay, you can see we're getting a bit of a square shape here. Just gonna secure my magic ring. Okay. And then round 3, it's kind of a variety of stitches, so we're going to start with a decrease, and then an increase, and a single crochet 1. And we're going to repeat those all the way around. So decrease, increase, single crochet 1. Okay, and so that's what it looks like there. So it's still pretty squared off. I'm going to go ahead and just do a slip stitch here. And fasten off. We're going to need a decently long tail for this one because it has to be sewn onto the face. Here we go. Okay, so that's what that looks like there. We'll set that aside until we're ready to sew the actual nose onto the snout. So the nose is worked with the black worsted yarn, and I'm using my 4mm hook. So we're going to do a magic ring, and we're going to single crochet 9. Okay, we'll pull it closed. And then here we're going to shape it into a triangle. I know this is going to be really difficult for you guys to see on the camera here, but we are going to half double crochet into the first stitch here. Okay, we're going to do one more half double crochet into the next stitch. And then we are going to do another increase 3 stitch, but with the half double crochet. So 3 half double crochet into the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're gonna do that again. So 2 regular half double crochet. Okay, and then the increase 3 stitch. 1, 2, 3 half double crochets into the same one. Okay, and then we'll repeat that one last time. Okay, so see how we've got a nice little triangle shape here, or hopefully you can see that on the camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten up the magic circle. I might have to pull out my smaller needle, we'll see. Yeah, it doesn't want to go. Okay. Much better. It's fighting me. There we go. Okay. And then we are going to just slip stitch this guy into place, into the next one, and fasten off as well. Give it a good yarn tail as well, because we do need to stitch all the way around it. Okay, so there's the nose. And what we're going to be doing with that nose is we are going to be sewing it right onto the snout. You can either sew it on now or sew it on after you've sewn the snout onto the body, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew the snout onto the body first and then put the nose on after. Okay, now we're going to work on the eyes. So the eyes are done in a white worsted yarn. So go ahead with our magic ring. And we are going to do 10 half double crochet into the ring. Okay, and for round 2, we are going to do a half double crochet increase into that first stitch. Okay, we're going to do a double crochet increase into the next 3 stitches. So that's a double crochet and another double crochet into 1 stitch. And the same thing into the next stitch. So 2 double crochet and then 2 double crochet. Okay, and then a half double crochet increase. Half double crochet increase. Three more of the double crochet increases. And then a half double crochet increase. Okay, so we've got this kind of elongated, like oval shape kind of thing for the eye. So we will go ahead, we'll fasten off with a slip stitch. And we'll give it a nice long tail for sewing all the way around. That's what it looks like there. And I'm just going to tighten up the center magic ring as well. There we go. So that's what that looks like there. Okay, so with the eye, I'm gonna take my 14 millimeter safety eyes here. Just because I like to use safety eyes, you could also embroider a pupil on here also if you'd like to. You can center the pupil on the eye, and I've done that once before. Personally, I didn't really love how it turned out. I'm gonna show you an example. Here we go. So you can see that the pupils are centered on the eyes. It doesn't look bad, but I think that she looks kind of dumbfounded a little bit. It wasn't quite the look I was going for. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different this time, and I'm gonna off-center my pupil. So I'm gonna kind of aim around in here. Let's see if I can get it through. In there. Okay. That's definitely more the look I'm going for, I think. But before I put the backing on and kind of make it a permanent installation, I'm just gonna kind of leave it like that. And when I start placing things on the face to see how everything lines up, I can still kind of move the pupil around just in case I need to. But I think that's kind of more the look that I would like. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a second eye as well. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with how that looks. It looks like they're gonna, Bluey's gonna be focusing straight ahead. But again, I didn't put the backings onto the eyes just yet because I kind of want to see how everything places. But for now, I think I'm happy with that. Now we're gonna make the arms. So we need our light blue yarn. Start with a magic ring. And we are going to single crochet 8. Okay, for round 2, we will single crochet 7, and then an increase. And I'm going to secure my ring. Okay. And we'll single crochet around. And around 4, we'll single crochet 1, and then decrease, and repeat that around. So 1, decrease, and 1, decrease. Okay, round 5, we're just going to single crochet around, so that's 6 single crochet. Okay, and actually before I complete that last stitch, we're going to change it over to medium blue. So do that, and we'll get rid of, or we'll cut off the light blue and tie them both off. Okay. Now we're going to do 3 rounds of 6 single crochet. That was the first round. I guess I could use my marker. There we go. Okay, and then the last one there, so round 8. Okay, now we're going to close it off. So we're going to work into the next stitch and the one that we're currently in and stitch them together, and stitch the other 2 together as well. And give ourselves a nice tail. Oops. Just sew onto the body and tie off. So there's our little arm. We're I'm gonna go ahead and make a second one. Okay, so now we have two arms, identical. Again, we're gonna set these aside with all the other parts and we will come back to them when we're ready to sew them on. Okay, our last piece that we have to make is the tail. So we are gonna go ahead and start with a magic ring and single crochet 6. And then for round 2, get that in there. We'll start with a single crochet 1, and then an increase and repeat that all the way around. Okay, secure my circle. And round 3, we're going to single crochet 2. And then increase and repeat that around. Oops, there we go, single crochet 2 and then increase. I was saying it, but I wasn't doing it. There we go. 1, 2, increase. And 1, 2, increase. Round 4, we're just going to single crochet around for 12 stitches. And in the last stitch, we're going to change to our medium blue. And we can fasten off the dark blue. Okay, we're going to single crochet around again for the 12 stitches. And now we're going to start decreasing the tail in. So for round 6, we'll do single crochet 2 and then decrease. And then repeat that all the way around. In round 7, we're going to single crochet all the way around. Round 8, we're going to decrease again, so single crochet 1, and then decrease. And repeat that around. Okay, round 9, single crochet around. Okay, and just like everything else, we're gonna stitch it shut, starting on the next stitch. And the one we were just in. There we go. So there's 1, 2, and 3 stitches across. Give it a nice long tail again for sewing onto the body. And there we go, we have a tail. Okay, so now we're gonna start assembling our bluey with all of our pieces. We have so many pieces to put together. So let's start with the legs. The legs are quite simple. We're gonna be sewing the top 3 stitches that we have on our legs across the bottom where we stitched across. And where we're gonna be starting them is we're gonna have 1 stitch on the edge left unworked. We're gonna be sewing into the next 3 stitches. That's where our leg's gonna go. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna leave 3 center stitches unworked in between the legs. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew this one on first. So like I said, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be the first stitch of my leg right here. And it's gonna go in just like that, just a whip stitch. I'm gonna go into each of them twice. There we go. Just because I have a feeling that the legs are gonna get a lot of playtime with my kids. And I wanna make sure that they're extra secure. So there's the second one, and then the third one. Okay. So that's what that looks like. There's one leg. I'm just gonna go ahead and bring that back up in here, just across the back. I'll secure that after. Okay, and let's come and do this other leg too. So I have 1 stitch on the edge I'm not going to work into. I'm gonna go into the next one, go into the next one. And again, I'm gonna sew through each of the leg stitches twice. I don't love sewing pieces together, but doing these legs are so easy because there's no positioning. So these I don't mind. We're gonna have to be a little bit more calculated when it comes to sewing the eyes on, but for now, this is the easy part. Okay, and I'm gonna poke it through to the back. And then it's up to you guys how you want to kind of like weave in your ends and stuff. I am a little lazy. I'm going to weave it in a little bit. And then I'm just going to tie my leg tails together. So I'm gonna bring it up in here and then poke it out through the same stitch. Making sure I didn't catch anything on the front. Nope. I think they came out in the same spot. Oh, no, I'm off by one. Which we don't want. Am I off by one? No, I'm not. Okay. We're just gonna tie them together then. 1, 2, and then basically just pull the knot. There we go, into the body. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, cut those off, and massage it out. There we go. Legs are on. I've got this one little tail here. I'm gonna weave this in right now for when we fastened off on our body. This one I am gonna go back and forth a little bit because I have nothing to tie it onto. I don't know how well you guys can see this on the camera, but this medium blue yarn is actually a sparkly yarn, which is kind of funny. It was really challenging finding 3 separate blue colors out of all the same yarn. So I've got a sparkly bluey. There we go. Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and hide that inside too. Massage it out, good. And now we have our legs. Okay, so the next pieces that we're gonna sew on are the ears. The ears are really easy to position as well because they are just gonna go right onto the edges of the top of the head, just like that. So again, no real finicky positioning, just as far onto the edge of the head that you can get. Okay, and then for the ears, so we have 5 stitches that we're going to be working into along the bottom. So just keep that in mind so you don't end up accidentally skipping one. And I am going to go through all of the stitches twice again, just like the legs, because again, I think the ears are going to get a lot of attention. Okay. I'm just gonna poke that through to the back. So that's our first ear. Turned out super cute, loving it. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And I just wanna make sure that I'm positioning this where I need it to be. I think it needs to be right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And then right to the back. Okay, they turned out good. And they're all flicky and everything too, which is adorable. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna secure the ears the exact same way that I did the, did I say ears? I'm gonna secure the ears the same way that I did with the legs, where I just kind of tie them together. Okay. And then we'll hide the yarn tails in the body again. Got little fluffies everywhere. There we go. Okay, so now we have ears and we've got feet. Okay, so I've gone ahead and positioned the eyes how I think I'd like them to be. So that means I went ahead and I put the backing onto the back of the safety eyes, so now they're not going to come off. How I figured out the positioning, so I say that and I'm noticing that I don't like that. Okay. I have the top of the eye coming down in between these two rounds where I have 3 medium blue stitches in the center, and then the rest of it just kind of, you know, lays naturally. In between the eyes, I still have it like a pretty consistent 3 stitches all the way around. So then that means if I were to lay my snout on top, I want there to be a little bit of an overlap from the snout onto the eyes. So it gives it that kind of like cartoon rounded eye look. I noticed it looks a little bit awkward if the snout isn't on top of the eyes. So we definitely want to be, you know, stitching that on top of like that, which also means that you need to have enough room, however you placed your pupils, to make sure that there's enough space to be stitching your snout on top of the pupils. So this part's finicky. This is kind of like what I was saying earlier. Stitching the legs on is really easy. This part definitely requires a bit of planning. I've just been using little toothpicks and stuff, which I find to be really helpful for keeping the positioning. But I think there's actually tools that are meant for, like sewing sticks, I think they're called, or something like that, where you can help position everything in place specifically for crochet. Looks a little cuter than having toothpicks sticking out of your project, but it does the same thing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stitch these into place and come out on the other side. One other thing I'd like to mention just before I speed up the video is that when I'm stitching the eyes in place, is that I'm only going to be going through the back loop only on the eye. So I'll show what I mean in a second. So the 2 loops here, I'm only going to be coming up through this back loop only. So then the front loop is just going to kind of create a border all the way around, and it gives it like a nicer outward appearance, a little more finished, as opposed to like the jagged stitching all the way around. Okay, so I've gone around, I've stitched the first eye on, pretty happy with the placement, I think. I guess we're gonna find out at the very end, but it's exactly where I planned it to be, so that's good. And I've just gone through, I made it back to that slip stitch, so I'm going to just kind of bring that yarn somewhere here in the center of the face for now. And I will tie it off with the second eye tail when I'm finished with that one. Okay, so the eyes are sewn on. Pretty happy with the placement. I think they turned out pretty evenly, which is awesome. I'm just gonna go ahead and tie those ends off. And we are just gonna hide them inside the body. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I've gone ahead and positioned where I'd like the snout to be as well. So remember that we made it as kind of like a square shape. So we had a single crochet, a decrease, and an increase. So make sure when you're positioning it all the way around that each side has an even number of stitches. I put my little toothpicks into the second stitch of the increase, kind of like where the corners are. And you can see I've gone ahead and I've overlapped my snout on top of my eyes. Okay, so it gives it a really cute forward-facing look. And at the bottom, to help with positioning, you can see down here when it's all done stitching, I'm gonna have one round of just like medium blue in between the snout and the tummy. So it doesn't go all the way down to the tummy. There is one round in between. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch that into place now. Okay, so I'm getting pretty close to the end here. I am gonna add just a little bit of stuffing under the nose, not very much. Just enough so that it holds its shape well and doesn't get kind of smushed. There we go. Okay, so I'm just coming down to the very last stitch there. Quite happy with how that turned out. Nice and boxy, and it overlapped onto the eyes as well, which is really good. That one overlapped really close, actually. Might just push some of that out of the way. Here we go. So we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna secure this yarn just into the snout because I don't have another piece of yarn to tie it off with. Just gonna kind of weave it around a little bit. Okay. Good, and then this can just go straight into the body and trim it. Okay, lovely. So now we have our snout. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and sew the tail onto the back of the body. So between around 16 and 17, just centered on the back. So we are gonna go, it's gonna go somewhere in here. There's 3 stitches across, so I'm gonna kind of find the 3 stitches that I think are centered the most. And I'm gonna go ahead, right in here. I think, no, that doesn't look centered to me. Hold on a second. Let's try that again. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and stitch the tail onto the back of the body between rounds 15 and 16. So the tail has 3 stitches across, 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna go ahead and find the 3 stitches that we want it to be on the back. There we go, that looks pretty centered to me. And just like with all the other little floppy parts, I'm gonna go through each stitch twice. Okay, wonderful. I'm gonna go ahead and just leave that right there because when I put the arms on next, I'm just gonna tie it off against this yarn tail right there. Looking pretty cute. Okay, next is the arms. So they're going to go on between rounds 11 and 12 on either side of the body. So they're gonna kind of come in here just like that. Looks like for positioning, I'm thinking about leaving maybe about 2 stitches away from the snout. Of course, it kind of depends on how you've positioned your snout into the center of the body, but for me, that seems to be the way that it's lining up nicely. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So we're gonna come in right in here. Okay, and I was gonna kind of drop this yarn tail back here somewhere. Okay, so I like that positioning, it looks good. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, and I'll tie off those in a second. So on this side, it looks like I went 3 stitches from the snout. That's fine. Everything lines up nicely when you look at it from the front. So totally fine with that. I'm just gonna go ahead and secure all these tails back here. Okay, here's our first one. And we're just going to bring this tail over here. And tie this one off as well. I think this one was the tail. Here we go. And then we'll just hide everything in the body. We have so many yarn tails running through the body right now. Kind of makes you wonder what it looks like from the inside. Probably pretty messy. Although it does actually help provide support for your fluff, so it keeps your fluff in the right place. Because you have all these pieces of yarn running through it, kind of stopping it from bunching up in one spot, which is also good. Okay. Get rid of all these little fluffs. Okay, so we're looking good. And of course our tail on the back end. And now we just need to sew the nose on. Okay, and then for the last piece, we are going to sew the nose onto the snout. Now I still have a little tail here from the back of my nose, and I'm going to use that to just kind of anchor it in place while I work. And then I'm going to use that yarn tail to kind of tie it off at the very end. So I'll just stick that there. And I don't really want the nose to be centered completely in the snout. It kind of gives it almost like a bit of a dopey look. I want the nose to be just a little, actually I like exactly where it is, just a little higher than the center point of the nose or the snout. So now the black yarn is difficult to see. Here we go. Just remembering that we've got those increase 3 stitches at the corners. So that's kind of where you want to be sewing your corners into. Sorry, as I'm bringing it closer, it's so that I can see into the black yarn. That's where I want to be. Okay. You're gonna do a good job pinning that. Okay. And then the one on the bottom. Same thing, this guy right here. Okay. Might be a little angled. There we go. Okay. So I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and stitch it. Okay, so it looks like, oh no, I've got one more stitch to go. I thought I had them all. There we go. Okay, so I have got the nose on. As I was sewing, I noticed that there's like a little tiny fluff. I don't know if you can even see it on camera. That's got kind of pulled out. So I'm just gonna go ahead and come back to it in here and just kind of force it down because it will bother me. Just pick it up. And we're gonna bring it back in the same direction we came from. Okay, done. It's dealt with. I don't know what that was, but okay, now it's all gone. I'm going to tie it off. And then believe it or not, but we are actually done. Okay. All right, you guys, we did it. We've got cute little floppy arms and ears and legs and tail. Yay. We almost forgot to sew on the eyebrows. Okay, we need to do that real quick. So the eyebrows are done in like a medium, the medium blue, so the same color as the body. I'm gonna start just kind of here in the center of the head, and I'm gonna come into, I think right here where the color changes. And I'm going to bring it down to about the outside of the eye. It's maybe about 2 stitches in length. We'll see how that looks. And that's on a slant. Okay. Love that, it looks perfect. So we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're gonna come up to where the color changes up here. And we're gonna come down about 2 stitches on an angle. Okay, and we'll tie it off. And hide the ends. I celebrated way too early last time, but we're gonna celebrate now in a second. Okay, for real this time, Bluey is done.